ancestors came here illegally. Wasn't nothing legal about your ancestors. They came illegally and they murdered, they raped, they pillaged a whole race of people. This country, Texas, Arizona, and California, belonged to the Mexicans.
Get back
it was stole from them.
You
so
tell
when
me
you
to
quote
get back
your
to the
ancestors,
point.
they came here illegally.
You're not being fair to me here. You say stay on topic.
It's about tribal warfare. Okay. That's where we're at in the U.S. I don't know where you're at in the UK. You're from India, so I don't really.
I'm not from India.
Oh, sorry, your parents are from India, so
I'm an American
you
citizen.
have your own stakes.
I'm an American, you know.
You're an American citizen?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know how you got that, but fair enough. Here's the thing.
Are you an American citizen?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
Not sure how you got that. Okay.
Born here.
Okay.
Born here, and my family lineage is settlers from the 1500s, so I have some stake in the claim here. Okay.
But you're
a little different.
But you're
than
a
yours.
descendant of immigrants, settlers,
no.
colonialists.
Yeah,
you
colonials.
You don't look very Native American to me.
I am Native American. Whites are Native Americans. What are you talking about?
You're not.
What are you talking about?
You're
Whites
not.
are Native Americans.
Really?
I think
what was happening before the 1500s?
I think you're getting confused with it.
I don't mind going on a tangent, but what was happening before the 1500s?
Calm down. I think you're getting.
What was happening before the 1500s?
There was indigenous people here that came here from Asia.
Do you know what indigenous means?
Listen. Before
indigenous
America,
people can't come from somewhere else.
Why do you ask a question if you're going to interrupt?
I'm not sure if you know what the meaning of indigenous means.
I do know what it means. It means
like
they came here first, right? They came here from Asia by way of land bridge. Have an argument with Neil deGrasse Tyson or anybody else about that. I don't care.
Is he an American?
I genuinely don't care. Yes, he is.
Okay, just checking.
My point is, okay?
Nothing to do with crime. So far, you've agreed with me that these people are
criminals. Because you're derailing, dude. I'm trying to stay on track.
You literally sat down and asked me where I'm from. I think you derailed this conversation from the get-go.
By that, but I'm
not offended. I'm just wondering what it has to do with crime.
I'm always curious.
We're going to talk about immigration. Don't worry. Later on, you can come back.
I hope so.
Right now, you're doing a very bad job of making the case that he's not pro-crime.
I just got a round of applause. I could probably get another one actually if I asked for it.
Wow.
So I don't think I'm doing as bad.
Is this how you get rounds of applause? You sit in a room with 20 people who agree with you. Wow, amazing. Amazing. That must make you feel.
Before a single European set foot in America, the land was already full of nations. The land already had people. And this is one of the history they don't want to set it straight, okay? The Lakota, the Cherokee, the Navajo, the Seminole, the Shocks, and so many more people or nations were in America. That means what? That tells you that European or white people are illegal in America. Now, there's this black person tried to say this, and the reply was, it was a rage reply, okay? Now, the nations that I've named to you were not scattered tribes wandering around. These people were civilizations with governments, trade systems, laws, languages, and spiritual traditions thousands of years old ago. Then the Europeans arrived, not as guests, not as neighbors, but as invaders. They came waving crosses and guns, declaring that this land was theirs. Under the so-called doctrine of discovery, imagine the arrogance. They stepped foot on a land already populated, already thriving, and claimed ownership. That is the first step of illegality, is the first act of illegality. That is the original legal immigration. So white settlers didn't have visas. They did not have permission. And they sure didn't have moral right. They had just one thing, violence. And that's why we always say the history of America is built on genocide. So when you remind white people that they are illegal in America, that's what they don't want to hear. Now, I want us to watch this clip first. And then after watching this clip, we come back here and we talk more.
We are a country of immigrants. See,
no, we're not. No.
This video is solely to spread awareness on the United States and the expression nation of immigrants.
We're a country of settlers, not of immigrants.
Okay. Please watch the full video to understand the concept of country of immigrants, because it seems Americans seem to forget.
That's a big distinction. Let me tell you the difference. Settlers are people that build a new country that was barren. Immigrants come to a country already built.
We are, one and all, immigrants, or the sons and daughters.
We are the descendants of 40 million people who left other countries to make a new opportunity for themselves and their children.
The lamp of this grand old lady is brighter today, and the golden door that she guards gleams more brilliantly in the light of an increased liberty for the people from all countries.
I'm convinced that the vast majority of Americans today want these people to have another opportunity.
I was in a party that welcomed generations of immigrants.
If we ever closed the door to new Americans, our leadership in the world would soon be lost.
Immigration is not just a link to America's past. It's also a bridge to America's future.
This is one country. We like our diversity. We are proud of it.
Amid all the complications of policy, may we never forget that immigration is a blessing and a strength.
These people, our neighbors, our classmates, our friends, they did not come here in search of a free ride or an easy life. They came to work.
We don't demonize immigrants. We don't single them out for attacks. We don't believe they're poisoning the blood of the country. We're a nation of immigrants, and that's why we're so damn strong.
I think this is a fantastic law. It is time to start enforcing the laws that are on the books instead of the state and local officials legislating from their own little tiny offices.
It's an awful law because it's nothing more than a legal way for law enforcement to racially profile Mexicans and Hispanics. I would say to the Hispanic and Mexican community, what you got to do now, hook up with the black community and unite in political power, because if Mexicans and black people unite in Texas, we can control the governor, we can control the lieutenant governor, and we can control politics in Texas, period. I'm saying to Latino brothers and sisters, don't fight them by yourself. If you hook up with black people and we unite, I'm telling you, we can run Texas and then pass laws to deal with those who hate us.
You're advocating for criminal activity, Quanell. These people are not here lawfully. They need to do what our ancestors did, what many Mexicans have done.
Well, no, wait a minute.
Many, don't interrupt me.
Your ancestors came here illegally. Wasn't nothing legal about your ancestors. They came illegally and they murdered, they raped, they pillaged a whole race of people. This country, Texas, Arizona, and California, belongs to the Mexicans.
Quanell, get back
it was
to the
stole from them.
You
so
tell
when
me
you
to get
quote
back
your
to the
ancestors,
point.
they came here illegally.
You're not being fair to me here. You say stay on topic. I say, okay, we'll stay on topic. And then as soon as we start talking about illegal immigration, you go back to the black issue. Let's stay on topic.
Your ancestors are the master illegal immigrants.
Give me the opportunity to respond in that, you know what? We're all Americans here. And if you are here legally, absolutely, then we need to come together and we need to pass good laws for enforcing the laws.
Well, perhaps the Native Americans should have passed laws against your ancestors.
Can we normalize calling Americans European Americans? I'm recruiting everybody in the world. Everybody who is not American, let's call them European Americans. Black Americans, get in on this. European Americans. And if you white, call yourself European American. Because there's no way we out here calling African Americans. That don't make no goddamn sense. If there's African Americans, then there's European Americans. Because I don't know how we keep forgetting, particularly European Americans, that the original Americans are Indians, not even Indians, incorrectly called Indians, Native Americans. The originals, it's in the name, Native Americans. So the real Americans should be the Native Americans. Then we have the colonizers, aka the European Americans. Then we have African Americans. If we have to use African Americans, then we shall use European Americans.
We were all once strangers. If you weren't a stranger, your grandparents were strangers. Your great-grandparents were strangers. They didn't all have their papers ready. They fumbled with language, faced discrimination, had cultural norms that didn't fit. At some point, somewhere, your family was an outsider. And so the mothers, the fathers, the children we see today, they're us. And we can't forsake them. So as Americans and Canadians, we will continue to welcome refugees. And we can ensure that we're doing so in a way that maintains our security.
Dear Americans, you are not expats here in Europe. You are immigrants. Yeah, when you leave the America to come to live in our countries, for example, in my home country, Portugal, and you come here to brag how cheap it is, you should all come here, when in fact it's not cheap for Portuguese people. You are not an expat. You are not a digital nomad. You are an immigrant, just like Mexican people in your country. The difference is Mexican people actually learn your language, for example. While you are here, you live, for example, in Portugal or in Spain for like 3 years and you barely know how to say thank you in our languages. Also, Mexican people in your country have jobs that actually contribute for the country they are currently living in. So in your country, United States, while you, no, because you still work to your own country. So yeah, start respecting immigrants in your country because you also are an immigrant in our countries.
What's fact is that black people in the United States don't have the caucasity to define crime for everybody else while excluding themselves. What's fact is that European Americans have committed a vastly disproportionate amount of crime against humanity in the United States. European Americans have unalived and SA'd people of the global majority by the millions. European Americans have destroyed communities created by people of the global majority in the United States by the thousands. And until that truth is acknowledged and reconciled, there will be no excuses.
When did Irish people become white in America?
Go for it, John. When did the Irish become white? And how long have you been white, John?
As a recently visibly white guy, it's a complicated history. W.E.B. Du Bois made a famous statement about the condition of blacks in America in 1890, early 1920s, and indicated they were the poorest in all of America, except for the Irish immigrants, who were the poorest. And they were called Black Irish, and were despised by all the other immigrants who had already come in there, except the blacks at the time. And the Irish were able to scrape by on the generosity of the black people. Once their economic condition surpassed that, they no longer used that phrase and became white.
There have been numerous instances of groups becoming white in the United States. The Italians, Jews, Eastern Europeans as well. But there's been a hard barrier for black people, and this is what I think gets to anti-blackness specifically as a barrier that people can't cross. Black people don't get to become white in the United States, but lots of other people will get to become white, or white presenting, to use the old South African terminology, honorary white, even if you're not actually white, except for black people.
I remember a debate between James Baldwin and William Buckley in London. Because Buckley's argument was, okay, you blacks, if you just do what other people had done, you will be thriving economically and politically speaking. And Baldwin says, okay, well, actually, that is possible if we manage to change the color of our skin. Because of the color of our skin, you don't let us vote. You don't let us live in the neighborhood where we wanted to live, etc., etc. Yep. So this is a way to say that, of course, passing is possible for a certain number of groups, but it is not something that is available to the majority of black people in the United States. And that is the case still today.
If you haven't heard the term European American, you gotta watch this video. In some of my recent posts, I've been seeing this comment of like European American to describe like Americans that are European descent, like for example, similar to Mexican American, Asian American, African American, right? European American. Why don't people that are American of European descent call themselves European American? It's interesting, right? I don't know if I agree or not, but it just makes you think like it should be that way if it's fair. I guess it's just interesting that we feel the need to differentiate minorities, right? So for example, when Italians came over, like, oh, they're Italian American. When the Irish came over, oh, they're Irish American. Now, once they've been here for a few generations, they've been assimilated into society, they just become Americans. But also they're white. So it's a totally different dynamic. People that are of color go through a completely different experience. And I think in today's world, that's what these words are used for. They're used to say like, oh, no, they're not American, they're Mexican American. It's like, oh, no, they're African American. Because the reality is that the only true Americans are the Native Americans. They were the OGs, the people that were here before everybody else. And then Europeans came and conquered. So it's just something to think about. What do you guys think?
I just had a thought. How come people who do not come from this turtle island are called something American? Like, I'm Native American. Someone from who is a person of color is African American. Or someone from Mexico is Mexican American. And someone from Canada is Canadian American. I don't know. Or like someone from Asia, Asian American, Chinese American. But what about the YT people? Why aren't they called the Euro Americans? Why aren't they called the Euro Americans? Why are they just called Americans? Why do they call themselves just Americans? I am indigenous. I am Nahewa. I'm not American. I'm Nahewa. I'm Anishinaabe, and my people were here before millennia, before colonization.
Welcome back. Now, the American nation itself, it was not founded. That's what you need to know. It was stolen. Every inch of American was taken through broken treaties, massacres, and land grabs. Okay? From the Trail of Tears, where indigenous people were forced off their ancestral lands, to the Indian Removal Act signed into law. America's so-called illegality was just theft wearing a judge's coat or a judge's robe. And when black people remind white America of this, it is like tearing down the mask, because nobody wants to admit their house is built on stolen ground. Nobody wants to admit that their citizenship is sitting on top of graves. Okay? That is the reality. When we say illegal, we are not insulting, but we are telling the truth of the America, the truth of the origin of America. Black people didn't come to America seeking for better life. No. Black people didn't cross oceans willingly. They were dragged in chains, stacked on slave ships like cargo, and they were trafficked, not immigrated. That means black people in America are not outsiders. Black people in America are the builders, because the blood, the sweat, the tears of black people build the wealth of that nation, America. You see? When you look at cotton, sugar, rice, tobacco, industries that made America rich were born from black people, were born from black backs. So when white people try to call immigrants or black folks illegal, it does not supposed to be that. Okay? Because black people did not sneak in. They were stolen in and they were forced in. So if anyone is illegal, it is not the people whose ancestors were chained, whipped, and forced to labor. It is the people who crossed the ocean with greed in their hearts, guns in their hands, and lies on their tongues. So between black people and the European, who is illegal? Now, family, here is the part that really burns white America. For hundreds of years, they controlled the narrative. They got to decide who is legal, who is illegal. They labeled indigenous nations as savages. Okay? Even though they had functioning societies, they labeled Africans as property. Even though enslaved Africans were human beings with kingdoms and cultures. So today, when America talks about immigration, who do they call illegal? Is it Mexican? Is it Haitian? Is it African? Why are not calling themselves illegal? So when black people say, wait a minute, you are the real illegal here, it flips everything upside down. It puts the colonizer in the role of invader. It places the thief in the spotlight as the criminal. And that is the truth they cannot stand. They don't want to shed light on this. Okay? Because once the mirror is held up, they are forced to see what they never want to see. Once the mirror is held up, they act like the law makes them righteous. Okay? Once the mirror is held up, America is not a land of law and order. America is a land of stolen property and broken promises. And that's why pastors and some people who have opened their mind, they're coming out and saying America is cursed. They know what they're talking about. And the American system knows this. White America likes to worship law and order. Okay? That's reality. We see them saying law and order. And they act like the law makes them righteous. But let's say this. Every major American law about land and race was written in blood. That is the truth. The Indian Removal Act, this was ethnic cleaning legalized. The Fugitive Slave Act, that made it legal to hurt human beings like animals. We have Jim Crow, this legalized segregation and humiliation. We have redlining that legalized economic discrimination. And yet, they stand today and tell black people and immigration to respect the law. But how can you respect laws that were designed to enslave, to exclude, and exploit black people? How can you respect a system that never respects you? Okay? That's why calling them illegal is not an insult. It is justice, because if we measure by morality, if we measure by right and wrong, if we measure by who truly belongs, it is not the colonizer who hold legitimacy. They are illegal too. Okay? Now, who drew the border of America? That's the question we need to ask. Who drew the border of America? White colonizers. Who erased indigenous land and redrew maps? It's white colonizers. Who decided where Mexico ends and America begins? It's white colonizers. After stealing half of Mexico in the Mexican, they came American War. And yet the same people who invented these artificial lines now use them to call the others illegal. Let's not forget Texas, California, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah. All were stolen from Mexico. And that means millions of Mexicans didn't cross the border. The border crossed them. So when white America screams about Mexicans being illegal, they are erasing history, because they are pretending their own theft never happened. And that's why when black people speak up and reminding them, you are the real illegals, it strikes deep. Yes. Why do you think white people get so angry when reminded of the illegality? It is because it attacks their identity. The identity they don't want it to come on the surface. Entire sense of belonging in America is built on a lie. And that lie that they discovered, founded, and earned the land is a lie that they don't want to come open with it. The truth is, they invaded, stole, enslaved. And no matter how much time passes, no matter how many generations are born, the original crime does not disappear. When you remind them of this, when you remind them of this illegality, it feels like pulling the ground out from under them. It makes them feel insecure, and that insecurity turns to rage. And that's why they lash out. That's why they shout, go back to your country, go back to Africa, go back to Mexico. So as we weren't dragged here as enslaved Africans, that's why they scream. But the truth is, if anyone has to go back, it's not black people. It is them who has to go back. Black people in America are a living proof of these contradictions of these nations. Okay? Because black people are the stolen people on the stolen land. Black people are the unpaid builders of an empire that denied them citizenship, that denied them rights and dignity. So when black people speak, they carry authority of history. They carry the receipts of slavery, segregation, and police brutality. Each and every existence of black people exposes Americans' hypocrisy. So this statement, when it's being told to white America, it hits differently. It hits harder. And then when anyone else say it, because the truth of black people cannot be dismissed. It is etched into the soil, the cotton field, the railroads, and the wealth of Wall Street. When indigenous nations say that white people are illegal, they are speaking as the original custodians of the land. When black people say it, they are speaking as the enslaved builders of the land. So together, the voices expose the two original sins of America, and that is genocide and slavery. And that's why unity between indigenous and black people is so threatening to white America. Because together, they can tell together the full story of illegality. Together, they can remind the world that America foundation is not democracy. It is conquest, okay? Let me tell you, the truth is powerful. It is unstoppable. And it terrifies the system so much. In early America, Europeans were not even united. The English didn't fully trust the Irish. The German were outsiders. Italians realized something Italians were treated as low class. But over time, the ruling class realized something in order to maintain control over stolen land and enslaved Africans. And they needed a new identity that bound all Europeans together. So that identity was white. That's where white was born. White was not just a skin color. It was a political status. To be white means that you are legal. To be no white means you are suspect, you are foreigner, you are criminal, you are white, you are just illegal. So the invention of whiteness turned poor Europeans into allies of the rich elite. It convinced them that no matter how poor you are, you'll still be a legal citizens as far as you are white. And this way that black people and indigenous people could never be. So that's why today, even broke white people cling to their whiteness because it is their only claim to legality in a land they stole. So from the beginning, immigration laws were not about fairness. They were just about preserving whiteness. When you look at the 1700s Naturalization Act said only 3 white persons could become citizens. And think about that. Black people had been here, like in America, black people were there for over 10 not decades, or for over 150 years at that point. But citizenship was off limit. The Chinese Execution Act that happened in 1882 banned Chinese immigration or immigrants entirely. Why? Because they were seen as too different, too threatening to white dominance. Another act, it was the Immigration Act in 1924. It set quotas that favored Northern European and heavily restricted Africans, Asians, and Southern Europeans. Hello? So when America talks about who is legal and who is illegal, it's not about law. It's about race. The entire system was designed to declare whiteness as the default of reality and to criminalize anyone else who threatened this status of legality. Okay? And that's why they feel ragged when they are called white or when they are called illegal. Okay? Now, when Trump screamed about building a wall to keep illegals out, what was really happening? It was a projection. A white man descendants of settlers calling others illegal while standing on the stolen ground. When white conservatives scream about immigrants taking over America, what are they really saying? They are afraid of being treated the way they treated others. They are afraid that if the truth wins, their illegality will no longer be covered by power. So modern policies in America is built on this fear. Okay? Every debate about borders, every debate about migration and citizenship is a reality about hiding the original crime of white illegality. And right now, we are living proof as black people. We are living proof of that contradiction because we are stolen from Africa, forced into slavery, and yet today they call black people outsiders. Okay? In the very nation black people built. So that contradiction exposed the illegality of America every single day. When white people look at us, they are reminded to their crimes. And that's why they fear black people. That's why they police black people. That's why they try to alliance with black people, because the very existence is evidence that the system is illegal. Okay? Now, no illegal system lasts forever. You know that. Rome fell, colonial empires collapsed, apartheid ended. So every empire built on injustice eventually reaches a reckoning. America will never be different. And the more black people remind them of the illegality, the closer we push that reckoning. It may not happen overnight, but history shows us that the truth always wins in the end. And when it does, those who build their power on lies will have no ground to stand on. Now, tell me what you think in the comment section about this video. Until next episode, peace out.